the disaster at the southern border, to rising inflation,
back
to rising
to
gas
the
prices,
handling
to rising
dangerous
crime all
reptile
across the
facility.
country, Joe Biden is failing on every
This
front.
term,
And overseas, the Biden doctrine appears to
caught
be
my
more
attention.
interested in appeasing our enemies
That was interesting
than it
what
is
it-
for
what it- what
standing
it
up
is.
for the American people. Frankly,
Declaration
it
of
is an absolute
duty.
disgrace. Remember, Biden began as president by killing jobs, the pipeline.
You can't just say bite, because where's the impeachment case on legal systems to pull out from Declaration of Duty, taking on the Secret Service and lawmaking facilities is a paper trader.
So tonight, as Sean asked you last night, can you name one single thing that Joe Biden has done to improve the lives of everyday
You got to
Americans?
do both.
Impossible.
Let's look at the
Can you name one
index
thing
across
Joe
the
Biden
board.
has done to make our
Polar
cities
opposites
safer?
of
No.
this say,
To improve our schools?
no.
To grow wages? No. To
There's
secure our
physical
border
evidence. You're
or
going to have to
protect our interests
rationalize why
overseas?
that
He has
difference
done
on a
absolutely
T-note
nothing. For the hour, we're gonna
is
expose all of it
not
here,
sensible.
and we
You're not
begin
going to
in
get it, because it's
Afghanistan,
not.
where Biden's strategy is already failing.
You can't just pull
The
people in
Taliban
the
is
house
advancing,
and say it's the
according to
mix and
several
bowl
US officials,
on what
the
it
terror
is
group could
here.
take Kabul as soon as
We
this
are in a
weekend.
different time
And we're also
frame
learning that the
from,
US Embassy
well,
in
one, you
Kabul
weren't
reporting
around
is telling
during
staff to
the
destroy
time when we
sensitive
pulled in the
materials.
Irish, and you're sick, you're weak, you're standard, when the country might have been valuable to do that. In this facility, you just can't raise up the taxes, take it out of your paycheck. Not everybody else is across the board because you're a holy evangelist inside here about pastful natures of things and countries. I was like, take Mexico. I was like, take their government out. Take Israel or Afghanistan. It's like they can't keep putting their people in there because they failed across the board. I can't just use this as a war index to say, oh, well, that's what I'm going to do in the long end of it in the two-phase, because it's bullshit. You don't control the Taliban. You can't say that their people wouldn't have one of them that's intelligent enough to get them assembled inside here for the retaliatory natures of things generals are applying to me to be the trajectory. Now, Fox News says that's what that general said after the test of becoming a general, handling that danger noodle, would say you stick your hand in that cage, you're going to get hammered inside of what the long game is inside of here. So I'd have to be transparent. I need transparency on what your team is, and that's an Ace Combat HUD. Because then as an American, I can say, oh, well, that's what you're doing, because I wouldn't get any bullshit. No offense from Putin. I mean, fine, run a pipeline in. Why do you need permission from America to do this? Wouldn't it drop the value across the board of both those things because supply is dropped? Supply drop, demand's going to drop, or the price for people to go somewhere and get it and transport it across the system wouldn't be right. Or look at another country. It's like your leaders can't lead. The definition would be a 45. Hubble's on the corner of your bed, your tomb, the distances of your T-notes, and you get over there to somebody's business and it's just not right. That doesn't make them Americans. They already had a business and a standpoint, but they didn't have a defense standard for it. So I'm going to take your military. You have failed this test. And for Russia and for Putin, because we don't need any more people who do not have the standard. In America, we got our own problems with this, and it's supposed to be the American industrial method that says, well, what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put them over at the lunch line in Parris Island. What I'm going to do is the Sharps case on anything illegal inside of there. What I'm going to do is write a new bill for a Texas military base, and I'm going to train it to an MOS program of things that have the separation, the cyclotron, from the special forces category of it, and I'm not going to go changing that. Right? I'm going to leave that alone, but I'm going to say the special forces amongst the work crew are going to have higher indexes of the test I provide for that Common Core for an adult version of it when they're generally sensible. But we can train that. People aren't. You're right. People are stupid sometimes, and I have to gauge that if I don't know how stupid. Now, I'm going to be serious about that term. If I don't know how stupid, I don't know how to readjust this standard. So you would look at somebody's plays and say, well, that's got some large operators inside of there in terms of I need to taper that off in terms of the direction of what it does. So I said the prison system. I said, well, we're going to educate that to the book systems. We're going to educate that to your heroin dual diagnosis. We're going to do that to the long games on a lot of Sharps cases for rape, harassment, what do you got there? Restraining orders, or the distance one, I can't think of what it's called. offhand here. It's like, do you see why it's more beneficial to do this, and you should follow that rule? Because I want you to be very, very versed with it. I just don't want to charge you with it and expect you to do your own thing. In the short time I have you for the readjustment period, we make them arbitrary. Gravity. It's like, certain cases are different. Murdering somebody with sensibilities. We're not talking about some axe murderer that stands out like an axe murderer 42. Sometimes it's hard to notice. But I want you to get very good about not necessarily how to murder people and get away with it in the military. There would be presidents. There would be, I'm walking across that field with a 45, whether you like it or not. And in that standard for it, I'm going to say the legals behind this would have to be what? Justifiable homicide would have to be something that says, hey, they come at me and I pulled out this flag and I stabbed them with it. Because it's just a stick or just some kind of system. So you have to now look at your situation. Bernoulli's. I'm going to make you graph every polarized cell of that incident report like the district attorney went at it for your case. And that one on the Mexican border, while we're doubling down with people coming in, have to be trained, have to be systemed into the Common Core. One, they're not Americans, they're not free. Not yet, anyways. So in lieu of just running around for America for a while, I'm going to get my money back off that person, get them trained inside of the system, and then release them back into the wild and say, now that you know these skills, it should be universally useful in a graphing index or an incident report or an article after action report, which is an incident report, which is a general relativity field theory. I'm generalizing the system. And it doesn't matter what you do with that material. It can be in computers, it can be on the graphing paper, some people, and I have to look at what's in the sector right now as well. I need you guys to adjust the control rods in the system before all this nuclear material goes critical and then can't change, energy change, three-phase, can't change over to what's necessary right now. Crypto security players, well, this is a first step of learning some basic code and some basic standards in there, and I have to have NCOs, not just one teacher teaching a bunch of them for a grade on this. They have to have something beneficially local inside of the system. So I went, instead of mathematics, let me go ahead and have them do safety officer or management training, or if anything, the incident report of what that company's breakdown is, right? Because even as a regular employee, I'd have to do that with the saws. I'd have to do that with what my MOS is, the specifics of that grocery store. What is your daily routine? I clock in here, I work the counter, I work the register, and this is a grocery store because it's a quantum operation on the barcode scanner. I don't actively physically get in there with this. I would say adjust that to the weeklies, the monthlies, the inventory on the shelves. What are people buying? What are people not buying? Is there a seasonal thing to these things so that I can have things have a deal to market that and pull some gravity down on that stuff? That makes it a little bit more beneficial in that phase. Well, it's actually 66 and a 0.6 relative to 33 and a third, but neutrinos are going to go 33 or 66.6 and 13.7 or 16.7. At any rate, neutrino calc. I got a video on there. Go check it out. Some girl from Fermilab, her most recent one, so it's going to be quick on my timeline from this date. And that's declaration of duty. I was like, so that's great. Yeah, you're going to be working while you're doing it too. Catch you on the next one.